Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and we're doing another album spotlight. Again, focusing on bands and artists, lesser known albums. You know, a lot of cases, obviously, if you know a lot about a band or if you have a favorite band, some of these albums are going to be pretty obvious. Great albums, if you will. I mean, in the case of Van Halen, you know, all their albums are great, except for the one that we won't talk about again. I have ranked Van Halen's catalog. I'll put that in the description. By the way, subscribe to my channel if you like these videos. We do try to do videos every day. I really appreciate all the recent support. So the album Spotlight series is kind of focusing on, again, an artist, not their one or two or three most popular records, but something deeper in the catalog. Today we're talking about Van Halen. And I want to thank Rich again from New York City for coming up with some of the ideas of the records that we were choosing lately. Today for Van Halen, we're going to talk about this guy. Women and Children First from 1980. Okay. I mean, that's the guy. And just to show you a little bit of my studio here, that Edward poster was in my bedroom when I was 10 years old. And he is, I'll tell you my Mount Rushmore of musicians real quick. Chick Corea, Eddie Van Halen, Miles Davis, and Jerry Garcia. That's today's Mount Rushmore. This is an amazing album, as you all know. Again, it came out 80. It's their third record. You know, the first record obviously is iconic. You know, maybe their next most famous record is 1984. Certainly the second album is great. This is the third record, Ted Templeman, Sunset Studios, recorded in a couple weeks. Some of these songs had been around for a while. This album starts off with In the Cradle Will Rock. I mean, just powerful, bombastic, classic period David Lee Roth. And David Lee Roth is at his peak here for me. This is kind of the high school record. I wish I was in high school when this came out, because there's so many themes, you know, taking the Cradle of Rock theme of, you know, the kid that's, you know, is unstoppable. He's unteachable at this point. And that Cradle Will Rock. Just an incredible song, followed up by Everybody Wants Some. If you, from my generation, you may remember the movie Better Off Dead, and the claymation thing when he's daydreaming while he's flipping burgers comes alive to the breakdown and drum section. Kind of like a conga drums, like they're in the jungle at the beginning of Everybody Wants Some. And of course, Dave has this little breakdown where I love the way the line runs up the back of your stockings. I like those kind of high heels too. No, don't take them off. Keep them on. It's just so good. Look at Eddie there with his Explorer. Is that what that Gibson Explorer that he ends up cutting and kind of ruining, he says. Everybody Wants Some as an absolute classic. Then we go into Fools. You know, again, it's a loose record. That's what I love about this record. It feels like they're having a lot of fun in the studio. Again, David Lee Roth. You know, I'm sick and tired of cleaning room. And it's the final bell for Push and Broom. Just heavy as hell. You know, it kind of starts off a little bluesy on that song, acoustic-y, and then it just gets crunchy and heavy and mean and angry and real, and just what we want, just what these guys are capable of doing in their prime. The bass playing on this record is good. Sometimes I wonder if Eddie's not playing bass. You know, one of the most underappreciated drummers in rock and roll history is Alex Van Halen. I mean, Eddie gets so much run because he's Eddie and he's the king and he's one of the greatest musicians of all time. But his brother... By the way, did Alex ever do anything outside of Van Halen? I mean, did he ever work on any other projects of anybody? He was just simply the drummer of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. We follow Fools, and this song listing is not in order. I want to say Romeo's Delight is next, right? Yeah, Romeo's Delight's the fourth song and the last song on side one. Romeo's Delight is a song that they would often open a show with. Taking whiskey to the party tonight, and I'm looking for somebody to squeeze. Don't. It's just, it's so heavy. It's so iconic. Maybe it's my favorite Van Halen song on some days. It's just wonderful. You flip the album over, and you have Tora Tora, which is just a little instrumental piece that goes into Lost Control. Lost Control is a song that they had been floating around for 3 years or so, since 77. It is so heavy in the way that he does his picking, and you could hear what would become Pantera. You could hear what would become thrash metal. I can only imagine that Dimebag was hugely inspired. I know he was inspired by Van Halen, but that song in particular has to be something. There's David singing like through a loudspeaker effect on that song. It's just amazing. It is just absolutely incredible song. Follow that, of course, by Take Your Whiskey Home. So Eddie doesn't often play acoustically, but he does not only on Take Your Whiskey Home, which at the beginning, it's almost like an old blues song, like a 30s blues song. I think you're heading for a whole lot of trouble if you take your whiskey home. And then it goes into some electric. Again, just, it feels loose. It feels like they're absolutely having fun here. The next song on the record after Could Be Magic. And Nicolette Larson sings background vocals on the song, which is, she's famous for A Lot of Love, a cover that she did of Neil Young. Again, David's got an ability to do the blues, but then he's almost doing like ragtime jazz here, almost vaudevillian. One of the cool things that we love about this era of Van Halen is David was just a bad mamma jamma. He was cool. He was a macho, but he was funny, and later in his career with all the dancing and joking around and screwing around, I think he hasn't held up image-wise as good as how badass he is here. That song, again, there's some nice backing vocals. Van Halen's backing vocals are Eddie Van Halen and Michael Anthony. They do a fantastic job here on that. Again, it shows that they're a versatile band. They're not just a pummeling, hard rock band, which they are. They can do a little bit of everything. The album then finishes up with In a Simple Rhyme, which is very heavy. But then it kind of has a dreamy chorus, In a Simple Rhyme. There's a little bit of a hidden track at the end that seemingly just kind of ends, and maybe the idea was to pick up on that on the next record. In a Simple Rhyme is so cool. Again, lots of deeper cuts on this record, things that obviously if you're a Van Halen album, this comes as no surprise that this is legendary. I think it's my second favorite. I can't remember how I ranked my rankings. Check out my rankings. We do talk about that Forbidden album that came out in 1998 that I won't speak of. But check my video out, my ranking of Van Halen's catalog. I love Women and Children First. It's just their peak. I can't imagine being 15 and this coming out and going to the record store. I was more like 7 or 8 years old. Certainly by 1984, they were my favorite band. In fact, for Halloween one year, I made, in my dad's shop, I made a guitar, and I did the tape thing with the red and the white and the black stripes, and I dressed up as Eddie Van Halen when I was like 11, and had the guitar with me on my journey through the town with my bag of candy. Check out my channel, subscribe. We're going to do shows every day if we can. That's what we try to do here. We're going to try to keep it fun and positive. See you later. Peace out. Bye-bye.